Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Friday, January 26th. We have made it the last day of the working week. It's been a fun week of DFS, and I think this slate is just more of that. So we're going to dig into it, but before we do, make sure to please like, comment, and subscribe to our videos. It helps us a ton just to kind of help improve our reach, which then we are able to give more content out for free with that. So come join us. Let's do it. Now let's get into this slate. Let's break it down as quick as we can so I don't take up all of your time today, as all of our time is precious. All right, so 7-game slate. Both sites kind of cut out the late games, so we got 7, which is personally one of my favorite sizes. So I'm all in, and let's get into it. All right, big news on the day, no Kyrie Irving. So Luka Doncic is obviously a very good play. 12.3K. Dude can hit 70s whenever, can hit in the 90s from time to time. Can't talk you off that one, especially in a matchup versus the Hawks with a 244.5 point total, which is the highest on the slate. Andrew Nembhard, guy's been playing decent lately. 5.1K is still too cheap, but now he gets this spectacular matchup versus Suns where point guards have just been dominating them game in and game out. And I think it matches up well for Nembhard. Now, with that, there's also TJ McConnell. Both of them are going to play. They're pretty much going to... one of them will be on the court handling point guard pretty much the entire game. So one of the things I would say is you could play either of them. I prefer Nembhard. McConnell is going to have more ownership, likely. Just for whatever reason, people are enamored with him. He does produce at a high fantasy per minute rate for the year, but I just don't think his 1.3 is sustainable through the year, so I can't give him that. Thus, I'm just not getting a ton of him in my lineups. Nembhard, on the other side, he's in a great matchup. He's been doing decently. I'm going to take the matchup boost. I do think what we have Nembhard projected for compared to what we have McConnell will end up being flipped. Oh, we have McConnell at 25. So I think McConnell will be more like 30. Nembhard might be 20 or so when it actually shakes out. But honestly, who knows? People are crazy about TJ McConnell. So talked about Nembhard. Donovan Mitchell, I'm definitely getting to some. I don't mind him. My issue is the ceiling where his price is. He does have a ceiling. He can get into 60, can get into 70, but he doesn't do it very often. And as long as Karis LeVert is there, I just don't think that ceiling is really, really, truly there this game in this matchup. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely. Mitchell could go off versus anybody. Maybe he's mad about being snubbed as not a starter, whereas Lillard was. So maybe there's some extra aggression going in there. But all in all, I just can't buy into high ownership, high-priced Donovan Mitchell. Like I said, getting a little, just not too much. Some pivots here. James Harden. Look, these Clipper guys, I keep going back to game in and game out. One of the three or two of the three keep going off, game in and game out, and they're not really too high priced. We also now have Paul George being questionable, where he wasn't earlier in the day. If for some reason he's out, it's even a bigger bump to Harden and Leonard. So, but with that, Powell may slide into the starting lineup, or it's Westbrook, which changes the dynamics a little bit. So you have to look at that when slate time comes, but I think Harden's in a good spot, in a good matchup versus a Raptors team that's pretty beat up. All right, now let's get over to Draftkings point guard, high owned. We got Luka, Donovan Mitchell, Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes, I would love for him to start at point guard in this spot. So no Emmanuel quickly. We know Siakam got traded. They're short big man because Podol's out as well. So I think this is a pretty interesting spot for Barnes. I am fine to go there. I am getting a little bit of him. I'm going to absolutely love him if he's starting point guard. However, I don't think so. I think he's going to be used as a forward or a power forward today just because they need, more forwards and centers tonight. Also, it should be noted with Harden and also with the Raptors that also Zubac's out. So a lot of big men are out in this game. Now let's get over to the matchup tool. So top of the matchup, SGA, Andrew Nembhard, Devin Booker. I think Booker's a little interesting too. One of the things that you can kind of see on this matchup chart is with Haliburton out, they're giving up more points to the point guard, and I think that can continue tonight. Donovan Mitchell is there too. Trae Young is there. Trae Young is still questionable. Do understand that if Trae Young is out, then DeJounte Murray looks great. Bogdanovich looks good. Jalen Johnson looks better. All of those guys look a little bit better in a very good game environment. All right, now shooting guard, high owned, Josh Green, Andrew Nembhard, Donovan Mitchell, and I'm going to throw Tim Hardaway in there as well. Josh Green is just cheap, likely to start again. Started the last couple games. He's playing over 30 minutes when he starts. Don't mind getting there in this matchup. Issue with him is, his ceiling is like 30. So ceiling is just a tad over 6x, which, you generally want a little bit more than that. And Hardaway just gets a gigantic boost whenever Kyrie Irving is out. He didn't play last game, got 34 minutes, 31 fantasy points. Not totally going to get it done, but these are those games where he does have that chance to get into the 40s if he gets hot. Then some pivots, back on the Benedict Mathurin train. He's low owned. And it's in a decent game environment without Haliburton. His usage goes way up without Haliburton, so I got to be back into it. He is a good GPP play in the fact that he does have a high ceiling when he gets going. I mean, he put up 54, and, he's only 5K. If he can do 7, 8X, which he is absolutely possible with, you're going to really want him, especially at low ownership. Now, is it probable? No. He is a guy with a low floor, but he does have that high ceiling, and I'm totally fine taking some swings at that. Another guy that's cheaper that I'm willing to take some swings on is Lou Dort. Another guy could get into the mid-30s somewhat regularly. He just doesn't have the ceiling that Mathurin has. You're not going to see a 50-point game out of Dort. Could see low 40s, but I think most likely is mid 20s to low 30s, and there's just really not that much value, so I'm okay with a little bit of that. Getting over to shooting guard on DraftKings, Hardaway Jr., Donovan Mitchell, RJ Barrett. I do think RJ Barrett is pretty interesting today. Look, as a Raptor, he's been balling, and now there's no Podol, no Quickly. Just going to mean a little more usage for him, a little more ability to put up those rebounds, assists, as well as shoot the ball. So I'm interested in him. He's also a little bit better when he's well rested, plus 14%, and he's definitely well rested as they've been off since the 22nd. So definitely a little intrigued by going there. Shooting guard matchups, we got Gary Trent, and Brandon Miller. Trent is a little bit interesting. He does have a ceiling when he gets it going. Maybe without Quickly, he's able to get there a little bit today. But it isn't the easiest matchup in the world, even though we have him higher on the matchups. What you see from the guys that have done well against the Clippers, they're all much better players than Gary Trent is. It's the Mikal Bridges. It's the Anthony Edwards. It's the Beals. The guys like Reeves, Trent, Kennard, Schroeder, Reddish, Herb Jones. These guys aren't getting there versus them. Small forward, RJ Barrett. I like it. I'm going to go there on both sites. I'm totally good with him. Sadiq Bey is popping up a little bit. I don't love him, but it is in a very good game environment without Hunter if Trae Young is out. If Trae Young's out, I'm going to probably get there just because he does get such a usage bump. Just takes a lot more shots without Trae Young, and I think 6X is absolutely in play at that point for him. Kennard, he's okay. His price just got up a little bit high. I honestly think it's pretty hard for him to get anything over 6X at this price, so I don't love it, especially in a pace down spot. Scotty Barnes, we talked about. Look, he has 60-point upside. He is not too expensive. He hits 60 much more frequently than Donovan Mitchell. Why I would rather go here, especially when the Raptors are a little more depleted. He is going to have the ball in his hand more without Quickly. He is going to run more of the point, even if he isn't necessarily starting as point guard. So I'm definitely a little intrigued by Scotty B. Kawhi Leonard, this dude has been crushing it now for like a month. You know, routinely mid-50s, 60-point upside, no Zubac, so there's a little more rebounding upside. And then also on the Raptors side, there's no Podol, no Quickly. Siakam's gone, so more upside in rebounding and just the interior, which Kawhi lives on. He can get to the paint at any time he wants. Miles Bridges, no Rozier. So he just gets a massive bump up in fantasy point per minute without Rozier on the court. And we're not going to see Rozier on the court with him for the rest of the season. So I'm very much intrigued. He's been playing a ton of minutes. Decent spot for him versus the Rockets. And I think we probably see another 40, mid-40s. And that absolutely gets it done at his price at 8.1K. Lou Dort, we talked about getting over to small forward on DraftKings. Hardaway, Scotty Barnes, Josh Green, talked about them all. Matchup tool, Dylan Brooks, Paul George, Herb Jones are all on the top. Look, I really do like Paul George today. I unfortunately skipped over him in this part, but he, just like Harden and Leonard, I'm on all three of these guys. Just reminder is, slates past when I like all three. I'm trying to make sure I only have a max of 2 of 3 of those guys. They just all don't get there at the same time. Now, I am absolutely willing to play 2 of them. Just don't really love 3 of them together. So let that be known. The other rule that I'm really, trying to search to get out of my lineups is McConley and Nembhard. McConnell. Herb Jones, top of the matchup tool. Just don't really like him that much. However, 4.6K is very cheap. He does have a ceiling. I can see you getting there. His minutes have just kind of been a little bit all over the place. So if he falls into extra minutes, he's a great play, but just very hard to project that today. Power forward, we got Derek Jones, Jonathan Isaac, Pascal Siakam. Look, Derek Jones, only 4,700. He is without Kyrie Irving. I hate seeing him high owned. I was hoping he would be lower owned. But generally, without Kyrie, he plays a little bit better. He gets a little more attention. He plays a few extra minutes, and that's what we're hoping for. But he did only play 24 last minute, 25 the game before that, 27. We have him at 28.8, which might be a little bit high. Just not, totally sure what they're doing minutes-wise for him. If he gets 30, he's going to look great. If he gets 24, he's going to be a dud. So it's kind of how it breaks down. Pascal Siakam, hope you guys were on him yesterday as I was. Look, I told you he was, under a fantasy point per minute with the Pacers. Now he's all the way up to like 1.21, which, look, he's right around a 1.15 guy. That's how he's been around for his career. I don't think it's going to change dramatically. I like him again in this spot versus the Suns. just it's coming now with ownership, whereas yesterday it didn't. Don't mind going there. I'm going to get a lot. Jared Allen, dude's just been absolutely crushing, and I'm absolutely fine to go back there. He got there last game in 32 minutes and can do it again in only 8,300. I like it. Scotty Barnes, we talked about. Leonard talked about. Thaddeus Young. All right. Thad is, I'm thinking he might start today. The reason being, look, Clippers don't have Zubac. It's going to be Plumlee. It's going to be Thies. They're not big centers, so it very well could be Young. I think he is better for their offense because he can do multiple things. He can rebound. He can pass. So I'm slightly interested in that. However, it could be Jonte Porter. I just don't know who is actually starting. I like Young if he's the starter. If he's not, I don't really like it just because I can't project his minutes coming off the bench. He could be 16, could be 15, could be 26, could be 28. And I'm not willing to take a ton of chances on that. And power forward on DK, high-owned Grant Williams, Josh Green, Jonathan Isaac. Look, we didn't talk about Isaac last time. Look, he's going to play his 10 to 14 minutes. He's going to get you 12 to 18 points. But at this point, with him just not really being able to get minutes, you can't go to him. So I would just take him out of his player pool at this point. Like, there's just no ceiling there. Grant Williams, 3,400 is extremely cheap for a spot where he could get minutes again. His minutes have been all over the place, though, lately. He'll play 31, then he'll play 26, and down to 18, down to 11. So, very hard to guess what his minutes are going to be. But without Irving, he could get a couple more. He is a decent player when he's on the court. At least decent for 3,400. He's not great by any means, but he can definitely have some games, and I don't mind taking some shots at him. Don't love him being high-owned, but, it is what it is sometimes. All right, matchup tool-wise, Jalen Johnson. I do like Jalen Johnson. I'm very intrigued, and he gets a bump up if Trae Young is out. Giannis, I'm not going to really get there today, but, I can't ever be mad at you if getting to him. Jabari Smith. I am a little intrigued by Jabari Smith, but we do need to talk about the fact that he is questionable again. He missed his last 2 games. If he's out, it does give a pretty nice bump up to Dillon Brooks, to Jalen Green, to Fred VanVleet. And then Sengun doesn't get a bump up from fantasy point per minute standpoint or usage standpoint, but his minutes are more secure. So if Smith is out, I'm going to like all those Rockets a little bit more. And Kawhi Leonard, I like him. On to center, high own on FanDuel, Siakam, Jarrett Allen, and Alperen Sengun. I like all 3 of them. We've talked about all 3 of them. Some pivots I like. Nick Richards. There's another guy that has benefited from the exodus of Terry Rozier. Look, he is just a little bit better on a fantasy per minute basis. Maybe it's because Rozier shoots more and, the rest of the team here is, able to pass a little bit better, and therefore Richards' usage goes up. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's there, and we have a decent amount of minutes to show that it's there, so I don't mind going to Richard. He's had 2 solid games in a row, 27, 20, 31 minutes, so we know he's getting the minutes as well. On to DraftKings, high-owned, Grant Williams, Alperen Sengun, Jonathan Isaac. Went over all of those. We'll just straight to matchups. Yusuf Nurkic is on the very top. Look, I think this spot is very good for Nurkic. I'm getting to a little bit of him, but it's just a GPP play. He has a high ceiling when he gets the minutes, but he's going to have these games where he doesn't play the 4th or doesn't close, only plays 21 minutes. Plays 26, plays 19. if you get one of those games where he plays 28 to 32, he's going to crush. But you just can't really predict that he's going to get that. Now, maybe with Siakam and Turner on the court, maybe he gets there, but not totally sure what he's going to do tonight. Should also be noted, he only played 19 minutes versus Indy on the 21st. So yeah. Nick Richard, top of the matchup tool, like him. Capella's questionable, so understand that this could be Okonwa, and when it is Okongwu, he ends up playing, 28, 30 minutes, so he would actually be very interesting in this spot. Another thing with Capella, he's only been playing 22, 24 minutes lately, but it is a guy that on the season's more like 27, so you could luck into a couple extra minutes from Capella if he plays. But I think this spot becomes most interesting and Capella's out. Then you just go Okongwu. I want to bring up Porter just because I've talked about the big man situation with this Clippers and Raptors spot. Look, Porter does have some upside. He's got it done, in 20, 24 minutes before, but his minutes are very hard to predict and generally very small. But he has been at least a fantasy point per minute producer. So if he gets minutes at 4K, he's kind of interesting. But it's a big if. But it is a punt worth taking, maybe a little bit. All right, guys, that will do it for us today. Pretty fun slate. Good luck. Let's win some money. And I'll be back next week for these NBA DFS breakdowns. Adios.